Hello everyone, it's Laura Jane. Thank you for joining me today. I have a really fun project with a new stamp set from Altenew. This is called Watercolor Halftone, and it has some really cool texture on the stamps for interesting inking. I have heard JC Gaspar from Altenew's video design team call this technique diffusing. It creates a softly ink-blended result with some definition. I'm going to be using this small flower image to show you how to do the diffused inking. So the first thing you want to do in order for this technique to work is to create a mask for the flower of the image. I just used a post-it note, used my stamp positioning tool, and then took the little mini daubers and started inking up the leaves. This technique creates a really soft, blended look that you don't really get unless you use those small daubers. So the first color I used there was the olive, and now I'm taking the moss and trying to add in a little bit of variation of color in the shadow area. I'm going to close the door of the Misty and press firmly on all the leaves. Isn't that pretty? Now you get just a really nice outline of where the bloom will be. So I quickly inked up again with the green and pressed again just to get some really good color. Okay, and I've removed the mask. We're going to start inking up just that really simple rose. First color I'm using is Coral Berry. Again, using the mini dauber to press that color on. I like to just start out just real simply with a basic color. Close the door of the Misty and press firmly. Just get an idea of where I want to add some extra depth with more color. We went back in with the Coral Berry and pressed in more color, trying not to get on any of the leaves. I added ruby red to the center for deeper color. And as always, I like to add a little bit of yellow to a bloom. It just makes it happy. And this is Warm Sunshine, using that on the very edge of where the bloom itself is. That way, if it gets into the leaves, it just kind of brightens the leaves up. And you can see with each time I close the door and press that image, just more depth and definition is coming out through the inking. So I restamped more of the yellow, or Warm Sunshine. This time I used Grapevine to really make that center pop in depth. Love how that looks. Then I'm going to trim this down. Then I'm going to use the die and tape that down and run it through my little mini blossom cutting machine, which works so nicely for these little individual dies. Love how pretty that came out. Now I stamped several other blooms on a piece of paper using that same blending technique, and I cut them all out. Then I'm moving on to the background of my card, which I'm using another image from the Watercolor Halftone set. So I'm taking the olive mini ink cube directly to the stamp this time, and then using the mini dauber to move that ink around. Next, I'm adding warm sunshine to the little bitty flowers that are on the border. And come back in with fresh lemon over the top of those little blooms to brighten them up. And I decided to need a little bit of coral berry kind of at the base of each of those two blooms. The little daubers just work perfectly for smaller spaces. I was happy with that. So I took the halftone circle dies. This is the 2-inch round. Used a little washi to hold it in place, and cutting the center out. I'm going to take the olive ink to sponge on some color and then flick some splatters around with the green as well as some of the fresh lemon. I'm going to adhere this to an A2 sized card base and then add my die cut blooms. And a sentiment tag. This is from the handmade tags die set. I like to fluff the leaves just a little bit around. And there's my card. I was really pleased how this turned out. I hope you like the technique as much as I do. Please check out the blog hop that is going on, celebrating the new release from Altenew. This is January 2020, and there are so many beautiful projects. You don't want to miss a single stop on the blog hop. Thank you for joining me today. We'll see you next time. Bye.